Good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in on one more of our wonderful Fermented Friday chats. I'm joined today by Cindy and Jason Mullikin out there at Mully's Brewery. What's going on?
How you doing, Jim? Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. I'm looking very much forward to the next few minutes when you tell us all about your awesome business there and the great beers that you're brewing and putting out in the market. Before we start, though, like I start every week, I just want to let everybody know Maryland breweries are open for business. A lot of tasting rooms around the state have opened up at a percentage of their capacity for on-site consumption. Most of our breweries are doing carry-out, curbside pickup, delivery options, and plenty of them have outdoor space. So find your local brewery, talk to them, find out how you can get their beer, and support Maryland beer this weekend. It's Father's Day. I'm a father. I like to drink beer. I think Jason likes to drink beer, and I'm pretty sure he's a dad. So must be something in the water around the dads. So treat dad to a beer if you see him. Just stay safe. In the meantime, I am going to turn this over to Cindy, and we're going to have a great conversation. Cindy, why don't you tell us all about Mully's?
So Mully's is located down here in Calvert County, Southern Maryland. We've been here coming up on almost 7 years now. Jason and I started it from the ground up, and we're still very much involved with the brewing, packaging, fermentation side of things, and every once in a while we'll be able to get out and get to meet some people as well. Especially, when we're allowed to again and do some of the meet the brewers, pint nights. Those are always fun to get down and get an opportunity to chat with customers while enjoying a beer. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. So if I recall from conversations you and I have had in the past, you and Jason kind of had this idea that this was your shot to open a business and you jumped after it, right?
Yeah, so like a lot of breweries, we started as home brewers. We fell in love with the process, loved how versatile beer could be, not only in the different styles, but also even within the same style, every brewery is going to have their own take on it. So it's a mix between science and art, and we really love it. And we like drinking beer, so it's a bonus there. But we're down here in Southern Maryland, and at the time we noticed that there really weren't a lot of breweries, and going to a brewery is a completely different experience than just drinking craft beer, because they have so many more beer options available than what you can find at the store or on tap at your local restaurant or bar. And it just shows you how versatile different breweries can be, and we just love that aspect of it. So we thought, there's not a lot down here. Maybe it's an opportunity. We did a lot of research, business plan, crunch numbers. And Jason went and got a formal brewing education through Siebel and the World Brewing Academy. And we took a leap of faith and started the brewery. And I work harder and get paid less, but it's the most rewarding experience I've ever had.
I think they say that as long as you're having fun, you don't work a day in your life, right? So all that hard work goes to...
No, you work every day of your life, every second of your life, because you're always thinking about things and what you can do and how you can do it. And that's not true at all.
It's not like you jump into an industry that wasn't like booming and filled with great consumers either. I mean, you guys found an industry where people are engaged. They want to be a part of what's going on. They want ownership of what you have going on as your patrons and as your fans. So you're very fortunate that you have that.
Absolutely. And that's the great thing about breweries. They're owned, for the most part, by members of the community. They, like Jason and us, we have families. We raise our kids here. They go to school here. We're definitely involved in our community, and the community has been a big support for us as well. So it's a great relationship.
That's great. So walk us through the last couple of years. How did you guys start out portfolio-wise? Where are you now? What kinds of things are you trying to achieve with the portfolio that comes out of Mully's?
Can I have a beer first? I'm thirsty. Is it okay?
Go for it.
Okay. You're going to make me talk. I need to drink a little too. So, like I said, we started almost 7 years ago. And the industry has really evolved since then. When we started at the time, tasting rooms were just tasting rooms. You came in, you were limited to one flight per person, and then you could buy some beer to go, and that was the extent of it. So our tap room is kind of based on that model. It's a little undersized by today's other breweries if you compare it to those. We started out. We tried to start with a variety of beer. I think we tried 5 different flagships and learned that we couldn't keep up with maintaining all of them consistently. So, and we did start out with glass bottles as well. And, being a small business is nice because you can adapt and change quickly, but you do have to always watch the market, see what's going on, get feedback from people, which is why it's great to engage with your customers and get out and talk to restaurant owners and liquor store owners and everything. Good relationship with distributors if you have them, just to get that feedback and see what's the best move for your business. So we have adapted. We went down to just 2 flagships now, and then we have other rotating beers that we bring in, but they're not necessarily always guaranteed. And then, of course, our specials, seasonals that come out every once in a while too. And we did make the transition from glass bottles to cans probably almost 3 years ago. So that's been a big game changer for us as well.
It seems like your distribution footprint grew quite a bit as soon as you made that transition to cans too. If I recall correctly, there wasn't a huge footprint at first.
Yeah, we definitely started local to manage distribution, and the bottling machine that we had was a very manual machine. When we switched to cans, we didn't have our own canning machine to begin with. We hired a mobile canning service, and that was really good because they taught us a lot about the quality control that goes into canning your beer, things that you need to look at. So you have not only the beer has a great shelf life. It's gonna taste 2-3 months down the road exactly how we wanted you to taste it fresh from the tap. So there's a lot of QC that goes into that as well. And by using a mobile canner, we were able to get more beer out quicker. And that's why we were able to grow our distribution as well.
What size system are you guys operating with there? I've been down there once, and you gave me a tour of the facility. It's a beautiful spot. You guys have a great looking layout. It looks like you're using your space well. So tell people kind of what you have going on in terms of your equipment, and we'll roll into the portfolio that you've got.
Awesome. Yeah, we brew on a 15-barrel system that does about 450 gallons of beer at a time. And we bought that used, actually. The great thing about the brewing industry is most of the equipment is stainless, so it has a great lifespan. And the community, the industry is awesome in that there's forums. If you outgrow something, you can buy a lot of stuff used. So we were able to take advantage of and buy our system used. We got it from a brewery down in Mississippi, Lazy Magnolia. They're great. If you're down there, try them. We have a 15-barrel system. We have 4 15-barrel fermenters, and then we have 2 30-barrel fermenters as well. And then on the flip side, we have a pilot system that has evolved over the years as well. It started as our homebrew system, so it only did about 10 gallons at a time. We upgraded to a barrel size, and now we're doing 3 barrels at a time. Here's trying to help out. So.
Gotta love that. So what do you?
Just trying to grow slow and steady, and have the business grow organically. We're not trying to fill the place up and just put a bunch of beer out there. We want to make sure people still want it and are looking forward to it.
There's no worse feeling than overproducing beer and having to figure out what to do with it than there is knowing that you are meeting all of the demand of your customers or your guests, and you're also making them aware that on the heels of what you've just put out is another great beer for them to enjoy.
Definitely.
What are you drinking?
So I'm drinking one of our flagships, as I mentioned, and this one even had an evolution as well. This is the Mully's IPA. We had another IPA up until maybe 6 months, almost a year ago. I lose track of time now. The last 3 months have kind of been a blur. But this is, we freshened up the recipe of our IPA. It does have a lot of mosaic in it, which is kind of why it has a mosaic look to the label. We just wanted something bright that stood out, was light, easy drinking. It's 6.3%, so you can definitely enjoy a few of them and not get too lightheaded. But I like the hops. This is Citra and Mosaic, like I said, very fruity. I'll pour some so you can see the color. Nice straw, golden color.
Looks like it's filtered also.
No, we don't filter our beer, actually.
No.
No, we filtered beer makes a beautiful clear beer, but it takes a lot of flavor out as well. So we leave all the flavor in there. On the flip side, what we do is we actually let the beer sit a few days longer at cooler temperatures, just to let as much fall out as possible. There's always going to be a little stuff suspended in there, but it's
you just let it all crash out cold.
Yep.
Looks good.
Thank you. It is good. I'm biased though.
And is that available in 6-packs regularly?
Yep. 12-ounce 6-packs. If you can't find it, ask for it.
There you go. And you're distributing that throughout the state?
With the exception of some of the Eastern Shore, yeah.
Got it. Very cool. So what are you seeing in terms of trends there with regard to the IPA category? I know that you guys have done some very fantastic hazy IPAs. Is that really what you're seeing a lot of demand for, or is this more, let's call it traditional IPA style, still something that you're seeing people ask about a lot?
You know, it's weird. We still see a little bit of everything. And that's why we always try to have a pretty decent variety. So at least there's something for everybody here. The hazies definitely have a big fan following. They sell through super quick. But, and the other cool thing about hazy beers that I've seen is people that don't typically like IPAs will like the hazies because you're getting the flavor and the aroma of the hops without the bitterness that a lot of people get turned off to IPAs about. So it's almost like baby steps for IPAs. And there's definitely certain people that like it, but then some people like that, you know, crunch your tongue, feel it in the back of your throat, West Coast IPA, but, you know, Pilsners are making a comeback. Sours are huge in the summer. I'm looking at our tap list, which is why I'm kind of looking over there. But we try to have something for everybody, you know, light, dark, hoppy, malty, some sour, some fruity, and we do have a couple of special things in the works right now, too.
What are your philosophies on keeping up with styles on the board? Is your goal to kind of have something of everything on most times, or is it you want to be IPA heavy? I mean, how do you guys approach it? Is it based on your preference, or is it based on the preference of the folks that are coming in?
At the end of the day, we try to have as much of a variety as possible based on, you know, our fermenting limitations. And that being said, pretty much everybody that works here is an IPA fan. That's kind of our go-to style. So sometimes it's a little bit heavier on the IPAs, but like right now we have 2 sours, we have 3 light beers, a Pilsner, a couple blondes, we have a stout. Actually, we have 3 sours, and we have 4 IPAs, and a pale ale.
It's a good mix.
Yeah, we have an amber fermenting right now. That'll be out in a couple weeks. Just because we do see that it's a little hop heavy, so let's get some of the malt malt pack as well.
There you go. So what other beers are we going to talk about today? Got that IPA is like making me so thirsty. I just want to hear more about beer.
Well, another great summertime beer. This is our other flagship. This is Blood Orange Blonde. It's a light golden blonde that we aged on blood oranges. Surprise. It's light. It's citrusy. It's got a hint of sweetness, but not too sweet where you have one and then you're just like, nah, I'm done with it. So this one, it's light. It's refreshing. This is 5.2% alcohol. Some people, this is their summertime go-to. It's great. And here's a really weird secret about this. Surprise, surprise, beer's carbonated. So you're going to get some gas bubbles in your stomach and you're going to burp. It's just a fact of beer. Blood Orange Blonde gives you the best tasting burps. So if you want a good tasting burp, try the Blood Orange Blonde.
See, now you're talking right up my alley because that's how I judge my preference for hops, specifically in like a really nice Pilsner. If I have a really good hoppy belch afterwards, I'm like, oh man, that was perfect. It hits the spot. It's like retronasal tasting. It's just part of the experience.
It is.
I know
so
that
this
beer
open so you can see it. Sorry.
That beer's done really well for you guys. I have had that beer, I think, at almost every festival where I've seen you attending, and it's consistently a beer that shows well, tastes delicious, and I think you've nailed it with the description. It is not an overly sweet beer. The tartness is well balanced. It's a beer that really presents fruit and all of your other beer ingredients in really nice harmony.
Thank you. And this was something that started on our pilot system here in the tap room. And that's the great thing about the tap room. When we can have customers in here again. Our tap room's super small, so we opted not to open up the inside, even though that is allowed at limited capacity at this point. We're still doing everything outside. But our pilot system is just for this, where we experiment, we try, we get direct feedback from customers, and the Blood Orange Blonde started that way too. We tried it on a whim, it sold great, so we made it a couple more times, and then every time we made a little bit more and a little bit more, and now it's become our top seller.
And is that done with juice, puree? How is the fruit added?
Blood Orange puree.
Very cool. It's nice to be able to use good purees where you don't get the pithy rind character, especially when you're using citrus fruit. It's
absolutely, yeah. It's a very fine line there.
Yeah.
Jason's back, just in time for Blood Orange.
Yeah, I made it. Sorry about
just in time to get refreshed, man.
Yeah.
How about your label artwork? Where is that all coming from?
Yeah, most of that I do.
Yeah?
We've farmed that out a few times just to get a different perspective on things, but usually I'm the one with my head buried in Photoshop and Illustrator. And then I pass it off to the boss lady to make sure it gets approved, and then we send it to the printers.
There you go. That seems like a good way to make that work out. So the Blood Orange Blonde is in 6-packs also, 12-ounce cans. Are there varieties of that beer, or is it straightforward Blood Orange Blonde?
Straightforward Blood Orange Blonde.
Very cool. Do you guys do any beer cocktails at home?
At home?
Yeah, because I'm thinking that beer right there would be good for a beer cocktail.
No, but now that you say that, actually some of our customers have done that. I'm trying to remember what they've done it with. Maybe like a mimosa type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a delicious beer on its own. It just popped into my head. I was like, man, it's Friday. The sun's out. Why not?
We're doing tonight.
I like where your head's at, Jim.
Which one's next?
All right. I'm going to do staying on the fruit trend, we'll do the fruit tart.
Sure.
So this one, keep going backwards. We do, and you can talk about this a little bit more, a kettle soured, and we take while it's fermenting, we'll pull one barrel off that's just a straight sour. We call it naked tart, and then with the rest of it, we do dose it with fruit. And we try to change it up every once in a while. This one is our triple berry, blueberry, blackberry, and raspberry. You want to talk about the beer a little bit?
Yeah, so it's a clean, traditional Berliner Weiss. We used floor malted Pilsner to kind of give it some more grainy, malty character than just like a plain, boring two-row or a plain, regular, mass-produced Pilsner malt. So they actually do still floor malt it like the old world style. So the temperatures and humidity and stuff, while they're malting it, kind of blends a little bit more complexity to the nuance of the grist. I probably go a little bit overboard here with keeping it as a clean sour. So we do, actually Mike's brewing one today. We do a regular mash, transfer it to the kettle, and instead of just heating it up to kind of pasteurize, we definitely boil it for at least 15-20 minutes. And any time we can lock in a process control that makes sure we don't have some kind of byproduct, even if it takes a little more effort, we try to make sure we do that, you know what I mean? So boil it off and then run the temperature down to 95 or 100, and is that Omega?
Yeah.
Use the lactose strain from Omega and pitch that in the kettle and underlet with CO2 to make sure it keeps the oxygen at bay so you don't get that like toe cheese, blue cheesy grossness and like the vomit, bile kind of acetobacter type off flavors. We do everything we can to keep off of those.
Doesn't that sound great?
It's really fun to have beers that have funk, but you don't want them to go too far,
Yeah, exactly right. And this one we've built to be a non-funky. That's why we're happy to pull the naked tart, because it's such a nice, clean Berliner Weiss just on its own.
Nice.
We like to showcase it some, and then of course we load it up with fruit really good, but not too much. We're not trying to make like a sludgy fruit beer, but just that nice, crisp, easy drinking, fun one.
I think that it's great because as we continue to do these episodes, we have more and more brewers come on and they share their approach, and the kettle sour keeps coming up because it's this really great technique to deliver a ton of really unique flavors into a beer.
Yep.
You have a lot of command over what you're doing. There's also a lot of urgency to show some restraint, or else you're going to end up with something that you may not truly enjoy.
Might actually get out of control on you real quick, real easy. Yeah.
And that's the thing with sours. I mean, that's bacteria. I mean, good bacteria like yogurt, but it's every other thing in brewing is mitigating bacteria. So it's a very, you got to walk a tightrope so it doesn't take over. And that this is how we feel super comfortable in inviting bacteria and then
getting it out of here. Do what you have to do to it, and then get out of our way.
Well, this is the first conversation where anybody's brought up some of the less desirable flavor attributes that you get out of
That we do. We probably do a whole lot of extra stuff, but it's so we can sleep good at night, making sure we made a nice, clean, good beer.
There you go. We were talking that there are several sours up on the menu right now. Are you doing barrel aged sours, or is everything kettle soured?
That's on the barrel aged. We have Keith from Waradaka that stopped by.
Weird. Look who's popping over.
We're at Jim from.
Hey Keith, pop in, brother. Nice match.
So we our dream is to get a barrel aged program, and I've seen other breweries that have started going that way, and that's great. There are definitely some steps, like we were saying.
Yeah.
Separate room.
Temperature, humidity control, all of the good stuff. We don't want to start it until we can set the space up right to make sure we can do it well.
Well, that's a smart approach, because just like Cindy said, if things get out of hand, they get out of hand quick, especially with barrels laying around, or
I mean, it gets 90 degrees in the warehouse.
Yeah, contaminated inoculants just rolling through the brewery could cause some serious problems.
Exactly.
So, speaking of doing it right and having the space to do it, are you in a position there that you would be able to start a barrel project in that space, or is that something that you would have to expand or look somewhere else to do?
to a fault, we're kind of pack rats. We haven't really sold off or thrown away any of the old stuff. So the junk drawer space in the back is kind of extra space. We could do it, but we'd have to really part ways with some stuff that we just haven't found that we could yet. So it would probably be more of a, all right, we need to purge, or we'll just get some more space and do it over there.
Well, at least it wouldn't facilitate an entire move of the brewery or anything like that.
Yeah. No, God, that would be horrible. That scares me.
Yeah. So what are the other sours that you have up on the board? You were saying that you had 3 on today?
Yeah, so the triple berry is one. The naked tart, and we call it naked because it was before we added the fruit. We also have one with black currant that was just done as a small batch, but Mike's brewing a large batch of that today. And we're out of it now, but we also experimented with some other fruit flavors. Pog.
Pog that went way faster than I expected.
Which I wasn't familiar with Pog, but apparently it's a thing. It's passion fruit, orange, and guava.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
It sounds nicer than Pog.
Yeah. When I heard that, I was like, "Isn't that the game we used to play when we were in like
with the
third grade?"
with the little things,
Yeah.
you slapped it or some crap. Yeah.
I don't think anybody ever really learned how to play that game either.
No, I think you just traded and just smacked each other with them.
That's it. I don't know. I had a question or just total. Oh, the naked tart. Do you guys do any flavor shots like the traditional Berliner Weiss?
We were playing with it, but that would be an easy way to do like some other flavors. But we tried to like more focus on, all right, this is just the base version. It's more as much a learning thing as it is just another beer on tap or another option for a beer.
Sure.
But yeah, with the simple syrups and the flavor shots added to the pint as you pour it traditionally.
Yeah.
We were talking about it. We haven't really messed with it yet. I think it's just as fun to try the base beer beside the fruited beer for the customer.
I'm sure that guests appreciate the approach of a Berliner Weiss without any other flavor, just to understand what that beer is about, because it is such a delicate beer with really great tartness that it's like the ultimate refresher.
Yeah, and it's super fun to show what that end beer that they loved came from. It's like, oh no, we have that, and it's the naked version, just so you can see what happens throughout the process, you know.
And they seem to have good feedback about that.
Yeah, they enjoy it. Some people don't like the naked version as much as the fruited one, of course, but
sure.
The ones that appreciate the craft of making beer, for lack of a better, you know, they go, oh, okay, that's cool, now I get it, type of thing is always fun.
It's a big educational piece. I don't think people realize kind of how you can step from beer to beer using the same base or just adding new ingredients, which is why when I was in the industry, I always loved playing with casks, because you had that ability to say, hey, you start with this, and then you can do whatever you want with it and just augment flavor and kind of, make a new experience every time you approach that beer.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cindy, are you moving on to another canned beer, or are you moving to one of your super secret beers that you were telling us about?
We'll go on to the canned beer. I'll talk about the all together with other half, and you saw more about it than I did.
Yeah, I'll touch on it real quick, and then I gotta go help Mash out. But so the other half, Jim, I'm sure you're aware, other half did a open to whoever wants to do it with them collaboration for the hospitality industry, and they literally made a website and said, if you want to get in on it, here's a recipe for a hazy version of the beer we're making, and here's a recipe for the non-hazy West Coast IPA version of the beer we're making. You don't have to do what we do. We just want you to follow the gist of it and use the same, here's the template for the label, use the same layout and design so that we're all together in this to get through this quarantine and all that craziness that's been going on. So, we were a little bit late to the party, but we at least made it to the party and got involved with it, and it turned out to be actually a really, really fantastic beer. Surprise, surprise. The other half killed it.
Sorry, I was on mute, and I'm trying to figure all the buttons out as I'm doing this. Yeah, I think that was a really cool collaborative effort. I would like to publicly applaud Other Half for getting something that jump-started. I mean, breweries around the world joined in on that collaboration.
Absolutely right, yeah.
And I think that we've had 10 breweries in Maryland that all did versions of their own, and I think that's great. Did you guys select a local hospitality benefactor?
We're still looking at a few different ones. We haven't sold through our whole batch yet, so that we don't have a final dollar amount anyway. So we figure we have a little bit of time, but we'd like to keep it as local as possible. But at the end of the day, we want it to go to the right people as well. So if we have to expand our search a little bit, we're willing to do that.
Yeah, and so it's definitely for the hospitality industry, COVID relief type of fund. So anybody who's watching, if you got a suggestion, shoot it, email us, Facebook message us, anything to let us know which one you think we can send it to.
Yeah, I think it's great. It just goes to show that the industry doesn't only appreciate the people who come into their tasting rooms and buy their beer on the shelf. They appreciate the folks that are talking about their beer in front of, however many people. It's that total force multiplier.
Yep.
And it goes back to that sense of community that we talk about a lot. You always hear from new breweries that are opening, hey, I couldn't have done this without the help of other breweries who told me this or shared this with me. And even as breweries mature, you hear the stories of, oh, we needed packaging and they helped us out with this, or, shoot, we ran out of CO2 cylinders and somebody ran one by.
Oh, yeah.
There's always this feeling of everybody kind of helping each other up. And I think that having so many people in the beer industry jump behind an associated industry just is going to continue to build that bond. So which recipe did you guys choose to go with? It looks from here that it's the hazy.
Yeah, we went with the hazy one. The only real big difference, and you might remember better than I do, I can't remember the yeast strain we used, but it was a newer one to us. But we wanted to play with it and see how it worked out, because we usually ferment in the low to mid 60s for everything. We like that low and slow approach. But this one, they were saying, don't do it like 75 to 80. It's almost like a Queek, but it's a hazy, juicy IPA yeast. So I was super interested to see how that played out.
That's wild. And
it turned out it turned out fantastic.
It was one of our go-to hazy yeast strains, wasn't available, so we had to think quick, and we saw this as an option, and we knew this was going to be a one-off anyway, so it was like, all right, well, this will be our little test. And you know what? Everybody talks about hops in beer, but I think the unspoken, hero of a lot of beers is the yeast strain. Like, you don't realize how much yeast imparts on the beer until you could have the same malt, you can have the same hops, and you have the same water, and you have two different yeast strains, and it's going to taste completely different. So
we just talked. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jason.
No, I was just going to say, and even to take it a step deeper, same exact everything, same yeast strain, but done at two different temperatures. They'll show up different flavors and fun, interesting ways of the differences, nuances of the beer.
I was just going to follow up with that conversation about the community in the craft beer industry. Cindy, you served as the president of the Brewers Association for a couple of years. And Jason, you're on our technical committee. We just had our technical summit earlier this week. So we have living, breathing testament to the fact that there is a community in beer at Mully. You both have done what you can to continue to help serve the other breweries in the state and be collaborative with them. So I want to say thank you for all of that.
No, thank you.
definitely.
All right, I got to go help Mash out.
Have fun, man. Be safe.
Everybody, great seeing you, Jim.
On that note, we do have Kelly, our taproom manager, here. She brought a couple fun beers, bigger than my samples here. Like I mentioned, we have our pilot system, and we just hired our first brewer that was not Jason, and this was a long process. His name's Mike. He came up from Florida. He moved his family. He has a pet pig, which is weird but cool at the same time. So finding a house was a little difficult for him. But on our pilot system, this is his recipe, and he brewed it. He came up with it. He did all the fermentation, packaging, and he did a lot of research as well. So I don't know why he wanted to look for lizards, but apparently
it's a thing of his. He loves reptiles and amphibians, and he thought it would be cool.
And the only indigenous horned lizard in Maryland is called a fence lizard, and they like to live in dry pine trees, which you don't think of Maryland as being dry, but apparently they hang out in Maryland. So this is, and he's an IPA fan, so he fits in here well. So this is a dry, piney IPA called Fence Lizard.
Yep. Hi, guys.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing great.
And Kelly's been running our tap room now since almost a year.
Officially, yeah, a little bit, on and off, a little bit. Started here a little over a year ago, and then towards the end of 2019, started taking over some of the duties, and then I guess January 1st is technically my official. That's when I got my tap room rock star manager name. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Well, keep up the great work.
Hitting the ground running, and then everything had to change to curbside.
Having to adapt.
Hey, that's what it's all about. Welcome to the beer industry.
Your backstory? She's not scared of alcohol, that's for sure.
No. I'm definitely not. So I actually started out in the wine industry at a pretty young age, about 18. My uncle raised me, so I kind of started from there. Worked as a manager for a local winery here in Southern Maryland. I was there for about 4 years as their manager, and then took a break to have some family time, and then I got snagged up by Mully's. I met Cindy many years ago when they were just getting ready to open up their tap room. There weren't many tap rooms available in Maryland, or especially Southern Maryland. So they were coming around doing tours of winery tasting rooms. And I started doing festivals and events and all that for the wineries, and would always run into Cindy. And we always had something to talk about. And it got to a point where I would find myself, after working at the winery, going to my local pub to drink beer. So
There is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of brewers in this state that when they get done with work, go home and open great bottles of wine. So
of course. Yep.
Robert's watching. He's curious where you guys are located. Robert, they're in Prince Frederick, and they're having a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, Lower Calvert County or Mid Calvert County. Mid Calvert. Yeah, you forget the lesbians.
So Calvert's or I guess Southern Maryland, it's an evolving beer scene, definitely. There's some wineries down here, a couple of distilleries, but you can make a fun little trail out of it, and as things open up, do a weekend. Solomon's Island is down at the southern end of Calvert. You can definitely do a whole little loop and hit a lot of great places along the way.
Yeah, that is a really nice circuit. And even if you're coming from Western Maryland, getting out that way and coming back, there are plenty of options, that people in Western Maryland don't always consider to be convenient to them, near you in
Right.
Close enough proximity that it makes it fun.
Yeah.
So what do you guys have going on? You're doing outdoor service right now?
Yes.
You're doing, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I mean, it's good because we do have a little extra elbow room around here, so we can spread out pretty well. It's obviously weather dependent at this point, but we feel it's better just to keep people spaced out a little bit more. We do have our bathrooms open for people to use. Masks must be worn. Limited how many people come in at a time, but it's all outside, curbside. But we are doing pints now.
And do you schedule food trucks?
We're slowly getting back into that. I mean, Kelly takes care of all that. We definitely had a little hiatus when it was all everything to go. So now we're slowly working them back in.
Yeah, slowly working them back in. The whole COVID thing kind of pushed some of the food trucks, unfortunately, to go out of business during that time. Some of the other regular food trucks we rotate through found big success in traveling to the different neighborhoods and stuff. And they plan those so far in advance that now that we're ready, to reopen and welcome them back. It's been a little more difficult to get them on the immediate schedule. But the idea is to have them rotating through right now to start Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We do have some spread out. We have some, beer releases and stuff coming up. So I'm making sure we're having food trucks for those. And then I'll fill in the holes kind of as we go with as soon as they become available to us.
Awesome. Ruthie in the comments says that the bar top is reclaimed bowling alley. Does she know something I don't know? Because that looks really cool.
It's pretty close. It's actually a shuffleboard table. So the story about that is when we were just opening, one of Jason's dad's friends heard that we were opening and said, "Oh, I got the perfect bar top for you." And it was an old shuffleboard table that was pulled out of an American Legion. And this guy had it in his, we're in Southern Maryland, so like every other house has a barn. So it was in his barn for 20 years, upside down on the ground. It is what it is. They lifted it up, and this thing weighs like 600 pounds. It's freaking heavy. And that became our bar top, and it has a foul line and the 1, 2, 3 at the end. We just took the sides off, so it could be an actual bar, but yeah, you can definitely see the little lines.
But yeah, for something that sat in a barn for 20 years, the condition was absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, we didn't do anything to it. We just cleaned it up. It's not refinished or anything. It definitely has some character.
The color's beautiful. To Ruthie's point, I have seen the bowling alley bar top. Smoketown Creekside, they just opened in Frederick a couple of months back with theirs, and theirs is reclaimed bowling alley. So I didn't know if that was the case, because that seems to be a cool trend to pick up that former life of whatever it was and bring it in and make it part of your experience is just so cool.
Definitely. Like you said, it's character and it's a story there, so that's always
fun. Well, it sounds like, especially if it was in an American Legion, there's probably a lot of good stories told over that shuffleboard.
A lot of stories.
So, what else is going on? What else do you guys want to talk about? We've got 15 more minutes if you want to. We can call it early if you want.
I was gonna say
Talk about releases, upcoming releases.
No, you want to talk about the releases?
Why don't you get it out there? Since we're a little behind on our getting all the events out for social media, so we already talked about Fence Lizard, this beautiful creation of Mike's. That's coming out to the public on Saturday, and then long-awaited Hazy 2 is coming back next weekend, and then I'll push it an extra week forward and let you guys know that our Brew for BAM is going to be coming out the following week.
Very cool.
So we got a lot of stuff in the works, a lot of new releases, and then some old favorites are going to be coming back, rotating through as part of our small batch series. So lots to look for. Definitely keep an eye out on our Facebook, because that's where most everything, and our Instagram too, is where everything will get posted for everybody.
Cindy or Kelly, what's the release date on the BAM one? I want to make sure that I can try to swing by and take pictures for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me just hate to do this. I'm sorry. Give me 2 seconds. I'll have an exact date for you.
No, this is the riveting stuff that everybody's tuning in for. They wanted to watch Cindy drink a few beers and us schedule a picture session.
Actually, are you ready? It'll be the weekend of 4th of July.
Okay, great.
Yep. Yeah. So it will be it's a small batch. So it will be available in tap room only. So we'll be doing pints, crowlers, and growler fills of it. So Saturday, 4th of July.
That's awesome. And it goes without saying, but I am going to say it. Kevin's saying it in the chat. BAM is so appreciative of the efforts of our members to contribute to their association. We're here for you, and we operate because of you. And I think that that's great that you guys want to support that and keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives Mike and Jason something fun to do, to keep working on that pilot system. I'll go ahead and take it a step further and give you guys a little secret and let you guys know it's going to be an amber.
Ooh.
So we, for those of you that aren't familiar, Brew for BAM is another fundraiser beer that I was approached by Idiom. I think it was the brainchild of Idiom and True Respite, and they definitely, because you mentioned I was president of Brewers Association, so I'm of Maryland, so I'm definitely involved and know how much goes into it. But it's also managed by a company called Grow and Fortify, and they get paid by the Brewers Association of Maryland. They also do the wineries and distilleries as well. But with everything that's happened with COVID, festivals have been canceled, and it's a bummer for all of us because we don't get to go to a beer festival. But for Grow and Fortify, this is some of their salary. So the brewers got together. Like I said, it was a brainchild of Idiom and True Respite. Definitely wanted to get a bunch of breweries on board. We definitely have a good handful right now, and I'm sure it'll grow as the word spreads. But it's coming up with a beer that you want, and the proceeds will benefit the Brewers Association of Maryland, Grow and Fortify, and help, because that's what's helped. Like I said, when we started, you couldn't even sell pints in your tap room, and now that's kind of why you go to breweries is for the pints, and how much laws have been changed, and how much the tech conference, just bringing the level of brewing up to that next step is so important, and definitely making Maryland a spot on the map for people that are looking for different breweries to go to be like, hey, let's check out Maryland. They have a cool beer trip that we can go to. So it's all for a good cause, and when you get to drink beer and it's for a good cause, it's a win-win situation.
You definitely cannot argue with that. I think that a lot of people that are following our page even and who are viewing today, I mean, they're viewing because they're fans of yours, but those that are followers of BAM really know BAM more for the work that it does to put on these great events where we bring our brewers from the state together to sample and enjoy Maryland beer and learn about what we're doing here in the state through farm breweries and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know that everybody is totally aware of the impact that our mission is in Annapolis, and the impact our mission has when we go and try to progress legislation that's going to benefit the industry, and when we take up causes that are important to our members. So we appreciate everything that you've done as a member of BAM and as a member of BAM's leadership over the years, and these collaborative efforts to help fund your organization are great.
So yeah, come down July 4th weekend if you have nothing else going on, because everything's staycations this year. Grab a nice malty amber, and this was actually brewed with a type of malt called Red X malt. And this is a super cool malt because a lot of times with ambers, the way it gets its color, it might be a little too sweet, but Red X is just a nice malty, biscuity, goes down smooth, and lower ABV, super sessionable. And ambers, in my opinion, pair well with just about any food out there. So they're the most versatile beer in the world.
Well, that's a great beer to be releasing over the 4th of July weekend, too. It's a beer that's going to do well at the cookout. It doesn't have to be a light beer. It also doesn't have to be super hoppy. And that's what it's all about. Seeing a familiar name pop up in the chat, said that he's impressed with what BAM does. And for Josh and everybody else out there, BAM does it because our members are worth it, and so are all of the great beer drinkers here in Maryland. We do all of this work to make sure that Maryland beer is something that people are happy and excited to talk about, just like Cindy said.
Definitely.
All right. Well, what do you think? You want to call it wraps? Where can people find your beer? Where can people learn more about Mully's? Give us the rundown.
So, yeah, I think that's all we had with the beers, with the special release. I will say, just a little teaser out there, we did get a federal wine license. We're not serving wine, but we definitely have some
tricks up our sleeves.
More gluten-friendly options down the road once we work the bugs out, I guess. Or you can come early and taste the bad renditions of it and see how far we've come,
I like it.
We are, like I said, located down in Calvert County, Mid-County. We have a brewery north of us, brewery south of us, a lot of great beaches along the way. Calvert County is along the peninsula, so it's only, I think, 10 miles wide. So no matter where you are, you're no more than 5 miles from either the bay or the ocean. No, bay or the Potomac. Wait, Patuxent?
Potomac.
So, one of the waterways.
There's water around. That's all that matters.
There's lots of water around, so.
There you go.
But water means good seafood, so that there's a lot of great restaurants around here, as well as great seafood, great crab cakes down here, live crabs. The watermen down here are busting their butt. The crabs are starting to come in now that the water's warming up.
Yep.
So
what is your Mully's beer and seafood pairing that you just have to recommend to everyone?
Jam.
Hey,
We'll put us on the spot.
I'm here to ask the hard questions, Cindy. You know this.
So, all right, we have. I don't even have that beer here.
Which one?
Patuxent Pale Ale.
Yeah,
I don't have the new label, but I have the old bottle label. Patuxent Pale Ale actually has a crab on it. And the new one has like a badass looking crab because he has like tattoos and stuff going on. Josh came up with that. If you know Josh, he has a couple tattoos.
Just a couple.
So pale ales start to introduce the hops a little bit, so it does have a little bite to it. That's also a great beer that goes with a lot of food. Like that's my typical go-to: burger, pizza. A lot of people like lighter beers for crabs, though, but I'll go for pale ales.
And
then ABV's below 5, so that's even better.
Because you mentioned Josh, what relationship is Brewmasters and Mully's all about? You wanna talk about that awesome internet TV spectacle that's going on?
Oh boy.
I feel like Jason.
That's a
can talk
Jason
about that.
thing. Yeah, can we get Jason?
Look at Jason.
I'll get Jason. I'm gonna get Jason.
So Brewmasters started with Jason and Josh. Josh, he's been with us for a few years now. He started as a taproom beer tender, moved his way up to the taproom manager, and then eventually went to outside sales. So you probably see him out and about a little bit more. He's going to the festival. Is definitely making a lot of connections, relationships. But he and Jason started this YouTube channel called Brewmasters, and it was originally going to be doing crazy side quests, like where they eat crazy stuff and play video games. So that's why it's called Brewmasters. Like, what is it, button mashers?
Yeah, but like button mashing.
But it's
being a brewer.
It's definitely evolved from there. So I'll let Jason take it over.
So we found out pretty quick that looking through the YouTube analytics that nobody gives a crap about watching two old fat dudes playing video games from back in the 80s. So we kind of pivoted, and so now we still eat like the really crazy dumb food. We've started transferring into like cooking shows a little bit because Josh makes a heck of a carne asada, and I make pretty good chicken wings. And then we learned how to make beef jerky, and we showed you how to do it. So it's a lot of like fun. The gist of it is we get to blow off steam for a couple hours and turn it into a fun thing to watch. You know what I'm saying?
Drinking beer.
And drink some beer.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so much fun. That is.
I watched Ty critiquing your chicken wings the other day, and I was like, man, now I need to watch Jason do chicken wings.
I texted him right away. I was like,
we have a fry daddy.
I texted him right away. I was like, that was so funny. Who knew there would be a reaction video to one of our stupid little videos, you know?
Well, if anybody's going to do it, it would be Ty.
It would be, yep. And we had so much, and now we're trying to, just to expand it a little bit, you know, we definitely try to showcase a beer or two, and we're working our way through the Maryland scene because that's where we live, that's what we love. And if we can share our tidbits and words of wisdom and information and let you laugh at us for doing something really stupid and show you how to make something you've never tried before, like bloomin' onion. I must have made so many freaking bloomin' onions. I hate those things now, and I'll never make another one. I kept failing on how to do it. Just trying to practice for an episode. I'm out. I quit.
Well, if you were not familiar with Brewmasters, go and watch their episode from the Baltimore Craft Beer Festival last year. They did a hell of a job producing a great festival video. they were interacting with other brewers. They were interacting with other influencers in the Maryland beer scene, and with the great guests of our annual event down there. And maybe if this COVID-19 thing wants to relax itself for a little while, we might be able to get together and do a festival sometime soon.
God, I hope so. We had huge plans for the spring festival. Our producer Chris is actually here hanging out today, and he bought a drone so we can get some good aerial shots, and we were going to do it up, and of course the pandemic hit. So hopefully, knock on wood, we can free up for the fall and have a ball all together again.
Well, I can't wait to see both of you in person. I may have to make a trip down rather soon if you'll let me in the door to take some pictures for this Brew for BAM thing. I would love to say hi and take some beer home with me.
For sure. Doors always open for you, man.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys taking the time this afternoon to come on and chat with everybody. We had some good viewers, some great comments. It looks like you picked up a few new visitors, future visitors from this chat. So we're happy about that. Look for Mully's beer in your favorite Maryland beer retailer. They do distribute throughout the state. They've got a great selection of the cans out there. You guys sending any draft to people who are doing growler fills and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we've been doing a little bit, and draft is starting to pick up a little bit more.
Cool. So ask everywhere.
Yes, please. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Anybody who's viewing that wants to learn more about what BAM is doing, we are the Brewers Association of Maryland. We represent just over 100 breweries here in the state, opening breweries in planning, breweries that have been around for a while. This organization was founded by its members and is supported by its members. Check out what we do at marylandbeer.org. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, subscribe on YouTube if you're watching, and check in with us weekly. We feature great breweries and great owners like the Mullikins, and we love all of them.
Virtual hug.
Guys, have a great one. Can't wait to see you soon.
Cheers, Jim. Thanks, man.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.